COVID-19 has kept Ralf Little away from England for the last year and a half and restricted him to the Caribbean island where Death in Paradise is filmed and Florida, the home of his American fiancée. Coming back to see his family for Christmas stirred strong feelings about his homeland. "It's horrible," says Ralf. "I hate to say this, but I'm over it. I'm from Manchester, so grew up in the cold, wet and drizzle. I was back 2 days and was like, this sucks. I've been away for 18 months and not been cold. As I was flying into Heathrow I looked out the window and as far as I could see, stretching out across the horizon, was thick cloud." Oldham-born Ralf, 41, is only half joking but has been spoiled. He knows the Death in Paradise lead as D.I. Neville Parker is a plum role. "It's the best job in TV," he says. "Not just in terms of location, because Guadeloupe is wonderful. But the show itself has become pretty iconic. In the space of an hour we get a puzzle and a murder which are fully resolved, along with a red herring and a couple of twists. And you've got however many main characters who all have interplaying relationships and their own foibles and challenges to overcome. If you think of pretty much every other detective show, they have at least 90 minutes to get that done. I think being part of the show is a huge treat for me and kind of an honor." Fans of the Sunny series, which attracts 8 million viewers in the UK and is sold to more than 90 countries, are desperate to know if Neville and Sergeant Florence Cassel, played by Josephine Joubert, 36, will become a couple. In the Christmas special, Neville finally confessed his feelings on a Zoom call. But just as the top cop laid his heart bare, her video froze. Neville is really taking the plunge because Florence is much more in touch with her emotions and able to articulate them than he is, says Ralf. "Generally it's the same in America, where if people have feelings for each other they just tell that person and ask them for a date. But in England, everyone knows that if you have feelings for someone what you're supposed to do is never mention it for 10 years and then hope that maybe one day you might both be drunk at the same, have an accidental snog and try to take it from there." So Neville taking the plunge the way he did was a huge deal for him. But because Florence froze on Zoom, now he's thinking, do I have to do this again? He doesn't quite know how much she heard or didn't hear. So the whole thing plays out slightly agonizingly. "We've filmed it all and although I can't tell you anything, we definitely reach a resolution." Ralph's real-life relationship with his playwright fiancée Lindsay Fiorentino is colored with culture chasms even during everyday activities like having dinner with her American family. "There are loads of cultural differences between us. Hundreds of them," he says. "One winds me up even talking about it because it's the maddest thing I've ever seen. They have a knife in the right hand and fork in the left. They cut themselves a mouthful, then they put their knife down on the table to switch hands so their fork goes from their left to their right hand, and eat the food off the fork. Then they start the whole process again. It's the most convoluted, ridiculous thing I've ever seen. I'm like, why are you guys doing that? They say, because that's how you're supposed to eat, don't you know table manners? And I said, my table manners are the same as the Queen of England's. She doesn't do that. I thought it was just my in-laws being quite eccentric and told them they were weird. And they said, No, this is how American people do it. Dining out together also exposes a typically British habit of Ralph's. He says, in America, if you're served something that isn't precisely what you ordered, you send it back. With my other half, if she gets a chip that's not anything other than as hot as the surface of the sun, she sends it back. For me, my chips could have just come out of the freezer and someone forgot to put them in the oven, and I'd be gnawing through them and saying to her, "This is disgusting, this is the worst food I've ever had." And if the waiter comes over and says, "How is everything?" I'd say, "Delicious, thank you." I wish I had a bit more directness about me. Love for animals is something Ralf and Lindsay, who have not yet set a date to marry, have in common. The couple adopted an abandoned dog found near the Death in Paradise set, called her Dora, and spent thousands flying her to live with Lindsay's parents. She often appears in besotted Ralph's social media. He says, "Dora is doing very well. My other half's parents look after her while we're away and took her to puppy school. She was top of the class. She's amazing. I went to the class and watched her like the proudest father." It was pathetic. Ralf, who also narrates Our Yorkshire Farm, attended Bolton School and had two older sisters, Rowena and Caradwen. He was 10 when his happy family was torn apart at the death of 14-year-old Caradwen, who fell 150 feet from cliffs at Porthcothan Bay, near Podstow in Cornwall. His parents, Eileen and Michael, both accountants, had another son called Ross and later divorced. Rowena is a nurse and Ross is a doctor, and both found working through the pandemic really tough. Ralf says, they have this attitude, like a lot of people in the NHS, of going, "We believe in the NHS and this is what we signed up for. But I wish we could pay them properly because CLEPs aren't going to put food on the table." And can you imagine what it's like for people in the NHS having to read anti-mask and anti-vax nonsense? "I don't particularly enjoy getting a needle jabbed in my arm. And I certainly don't enjoy having to wear a mask wherever I go. But the world's top scientists say we should probably do that, so I'm going to do that. I don't think I know more than them because I read a blog." Ralf was 18 years old and 4 weeks into a medicine degree at Manchester University when he landed his breakthrough role in the royal family as Anthony, the put-upon son of Jim and Barb and younger brother of the Denise, played by the late Caroline Aherne. In recent years Ralf worked with Ricky Tomlinson and Craig Cash. "I miss all the gang," says Ralf. "But I see them every Christmas on the telly." Death in Paradise Series 11 airs weekly on BBC One from tonight at 9 p.m.